Welcome to the Etihad Stadium. As mentioned, my name's Alex Williams and I'm the Ambassador for Football in the Community, which is the club's registered charity here based at Manchester City Football Club. I'm pleased and honoured just to be asked to say a few words on behalf of the Football versus Homophobia launch month. It's great to see so many faces here, and most of you I do actually know offhand. Here at the football club, we've always found it really important to get very much involved with our community and providing opportunities for everybody with this great game of football.
For those of you who don't know, the Football versus Homophobia campaign was formed in 2010, and at that time an International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia in Football was launched by another organisation called the Justin Campaign. We started running the campaign with them in 2012 when the campaign was extended to cover a 2-week period, and in 2013 it became a month-long campaign. Mainly, I have to say, because the interest and enthusiasm for the campaign had been so great that we wanted to broaden the scope and enable more people to participate. I think we've come a really long way in the time that I've been working in this field. I know that we are very, very grateful for things like the emergence of LGBT fans groups, and some of the grassroots organisations who were working really hard to tackle homophobia and transphobia within the game. So I think in terms of the campaign, the role for us now, the job that we have to do is to look at what the challenges still are. What work do we need to still be doing, acknowledging where we've come, but facing some of those more complex challenges. And I think one of the things that's quite interesting was that I read an article the other day that was talking about women's football in particular. And it was saying, there's an assumption that within the women's game that there isn't a great deal of homophobia, and that everybody is accepted within the women's game. And whilst there are elements of that are true, there was then a discussion, an online discussion between female coaches who were talking about the challenges they faced, both lesbian and heterosexual women, about the challenges that they faced and about the targeting of women within professional sport with homophobia, and the impact on that, and how they felt that issue was not being addressed properly. So we think there's some work maybe that needs to be done in the women's game. There's definitely work that still needs to be done in the men's game. The fans groups who are here today are all busy working and campaigning around these issues, creating dialogues across the kind of fans community. In terms of Football versus Homophobia, and this year, we are halfway through an international project that has been funded by the FAIR Network. Piara Power is here if you want to talk to him at all today. That project has enabled us to work with a range of organisations internationally. For the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia, IDAHOT, in May 2015, we were able to give out a number of small grants. As part of that project, we were able to reach organisations as far as Mexico, Cameroon. As a follow-up to a project in Cameroon, we funded another day of action in December last year. We have now just made 20 small grants to projects throughout Europe as part of the FVH month of action. So over the next 29 days this year, we're going to see 20 different events taking place all over Europe. And in particular, we're really pleased to be funding some work in Eastern Europe, where we know that hostility towards the LGBT community can be much more intense. The end of that project will see another series of small grants being given. We're trying to develop some our networks across Europe further. So that project will end with a celebration of Idaho again in May. So if you've got involved in this month, you want to do something again, please get involved in that work. Meanwhile, back in the UK this year, we started work. We kind of hit the ground running really with a project as part of Bolton Pride. Thank you to Mark, who's here today, for getting us involved in that, and to Phil, who will be talking about the project later, so I won't steal his thunder by saying any more about that. And we've also been really, really delighted to receive the support of the FA Wales this year, and Ali, who's right at the back of the room, is leading on FVH Cymru, our designated project in Wales. That project is enabling us to reach more clubs than we've ever reached in Wales, reaching some of the Premier League clubs in Wales that we've not been able to work with before. And I think it's worth also talking about, as well as the high-profile work that we do with clubs, the campaign initiatives, the wearing of T-shirts, the articles in matchday programmes, the issues that really get, the activities that really get out there and make a huge impact, the social media support we get from professional clubs helps us to reach people we would never be able to reach on our own. But I think it's really also worth highlighting the other work that we do year-round, the work that really underpins our month of action in February, and that is largely education work. So this month we will be absolutely exhausted, no doubt, travelling around the UK, running workshops for scholars in professional academies, working with community foundations to deliver education programmes to young people with whom they work, working with universities and working with schools as well. And that takes up a lot of our time, but we believe that without that kind of underpinning work, without that core education work, then we would lose something really, really valuable in terms of our campaigning.
Our goal and our motto is a nice message for all football fans and players. Be yourself and play together.
In 2012, there was a Euro Pride House held at the European Championships in Poland, in Warsaw. And so the Pride House in Paris next year will be the second edition of a Pride House at a European Football Championships. So for any of the football fans over here who are travelling to Paris, or Lyon or Marseille to catch any of the games this summer, make sure that you find out about Euro Pride House. Manuel was telling me earlier on that it's going to be part of the official programme, so there'll be lots of information, lots of signposting towards activities that have been generated there by the LGBT community. Yes.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
The reality is that most football clubs began in their communities. They began, in fact, as a community programme or project. If you look at the history of Bolton Wanderers, or indeed of Manchester City and Wigan, you'll find that they began by bringing often disaffected young people together to play sport, to talk about discipline, to talk about the important and key aspects of living your life. And of course, wonderfully, most football clubs have attached to them some form of community programme, whether it's football in the community, a foundation programme, or a community trust. And the whole of that fantastic work that is done right across our clubs in those community programmes is really ensuring that those clubs engage fully with their communities, that they are at the touch points of their communities, and that they are dealing with the issues that there are within those communities. And makes it so important that the football clubs have a duty to address issues of inclusion and anti-discrimination. And in fact, at the heart of all of our community programmes, at the heart of all our messages, must be this message of inclusion and anti-discrimination in all its forms. And that's why there are the codes of conduct that there are for the Premier League and the Football League and the FA, etc. But beyond addressing those codes of conduct, it's important to engage where people are, at the heart of their communities. So I would certainly encourage anybody to get on board with this campaign, to engage where they can in the touch points of their communities, to put together programmes way beyond the month of this campaign that can make a difference, challenge prejudice, and actually say to people within your community, this brand of football, whatever it is, Bolton Wanderers, Wigan Athletic, whatever it is getting behind this campaign and shouting loud and proud that we will not support discrimination of any form, and particularly across sexuality.
You'll remember this day because as well as the Manchester City Supporters Club, who've done a lot of preparation, Emily Jones over there, Alex, a whole range of people have been working really hard to bring this day together. And I'm just really pleased that Lou finished with that, because it is the future about young people getting their heads around some very difficult issues and thinking, I don't have to be nasty or mean, I can get on with life by being a nice person. I think that's a great message to take. But for the Manchester City fans here, our wonderful manager, this charming man, is going to leave us in the summer and be replaced by Guardiola. It's official. I don't know if people have been watching it on the telly. They've turned the telly's off. And we thought it's not Soviet Russia, so we don't want to censor anything. I know it will provide an interesting talking point, and hopefully it will be an anchor about when you think back to what you were doing on February 1st, 2016. You'll remember those young people in Bolton, and you remember that Manchester City has embarked not only about including its communities on the next stage of our upward trajectory. So just to thank everyone for coming today, but in particular Lou, who is an unsung hero. She phones me up sometimes and says, oh, I'm rubbish, and I was thinking she's not rubbish. And I think publicly, I think people need to acknowledge that the work that Lou and the campaign do is brilliant. They've been going for a number of years. They face lots of obstacles, they don't get lots of money, they don't get lots of support, but they do manage to convince the people who have got influence and power to change things. And I think it's a real tribute to Lou and Jen and the others that they're here today and they're still battling on, and long may it continue. So thank you.